You're listening to the Comic Crusaders Podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more. What up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders Podcast. It's your boy, Al Mega. Yo, today we're going to talk indie comics, some indie comics goodness, because the guest we have today is amazing. He is a poet. He is a storyteller. He is a comic book creator with 2 other successful Kickstarters and about pop off another successful one. Let me introduce the man behind E4 Comics, Mr. Jerry C. Hey, how you doing?
What's up, everybody? Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, man.
Nah, man, thanks for coming on and talking this whole journey, because you're doing it, kiddo. I started looking up. I'm like, wow, man, you've had 2 successful projects. About to pop off another. You stepped into the game. So now I'm curious, all the inspiration behind all that. So let's start taking it back, if you will. So where you hail from? Where you come from originally, and where you at now?
I am a Brooklyn native, Brooklyn, New York, born and raised.
Hey.
I'm currently residing in Long Island, Suffolk County. Basically, this all started for me at the age of like 14 years old.
14? Okay,
yeah.
Late bloomer, kind of.
Yeah. It all started. I grew up watching the old regular, cartoons like Thundercats, Ninja Turtles, and everything. But then everything kind of took a turn for me when I got introduced to anime. So,
what was that first as anime? What was it?
Well, I still remember like it was yesterday. I remember waking up early one weekend, like around 5 o'clock in the morning, and always told myself, Saturday night cartoons starts like 8 o'clock. What happens around 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning? And I remember turning on the TV, and the first anime, which will always be my GOAT, not saying it's the best, but for me, it's always the GOAT, is Dragon Ball Z. That was the very first thing that I remember seeing, and I just remember watching it, and I was like, this is not American cartoon. This is not what I grew up watching. This is completely different.
Another level, kiddo.
Yeah, the action and everything, like, it was just so different from what we grew up watching. And I just remember telling my friends about it. So, yo, guys, you guys got to wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I know it's early, but you got to do it. I need you guys to see this show. And they got up and started watching it. And they started getting hooked. And then that kind of started evolving into what we have today, the Elements.
Okay, the Elements. All right, so... And when you found your nerddom, did you have a tribe, or you like a solo?
So if you see the first 4 characters, Pyro, Hydro, Sky, and Shock, it's actually based off of my 3 closest friends. Okay. So we all grew up together. So we're all like brothers together, since we were very young, we grew up. I was always a writer. So, and once we started getting into animes and everything, I used to do short stories for school, etc. And I decided that I wanted to try and write kind of like an anime that includes us 4. And we were very into the Elements because we felt the Elements kind of represented our characteristics. So we decided, you know what? How about we write a story about the 4 elements? Like, I'd be fire.
I was gonna ask, who's the hothead?
Yeah, so that was the whole thing about it. So when we started creating these characters, it was like we wanted to make it a little different because most people would see the red and fire guy as the hothead. My character is not as a hothead per se. The problem with him, he's very reserved. But once that fuse goes off, it's hard. It goes up. So that's always how I wanted Pyro to be portrayed. Shock, he's my friend Corey. He's always been the cocky one growing up. He's always think he's the best in everything. Just to get into something, it's because of him. Like,
so the Papi Chulo, Papi Chulo group.
Exactly. Hydro's the very calculated one. He's the one that a lot of us tend to go to, when we need advice for something. And Sky is pretty much like the funny one of the group, the Michelangelo, I guess you can say, of that group.
You got the clown, but then you got that stable one. The one's been married for me. Like, all right, you know how to handle your woman, apparently. So we're playing. I'm kind of canceled now. All right, so that was your creative spark. When did it become something serious, though?
So when we started writing this story, we originally wrote it to be an anime, but
you were going for a show, so you were storyboarding for a TV show.
Yeah, we wanted to do a TV show,
Okay.
And we all we were young, barely working, still in school and everything. So doing an animation was just not going to happen. It's so expensive just to do a minute of animation, So we realized that we weren't going to be able to go that route so early. So then we decided that, let's try and go the comic route. So one of the challenges was not writing a story that we just created for an anime into a comic book platform, which is very difficult for me to say the least,
Okay, so it was a huge learning curve. And what was different about it?
Yeah, it's like when you're watching an anime, just like little bit of details you can easily just put in an animation. But when you're doing still pictures, like I guess I tend to overthink it. And I'm trying to put so much image into a page just to describe what I'm trying to describe at that moment. So even if you see my comics now, all my comics are like 34 pages. They tend to be longer than regular comics, and that's part of the reason why. So once I started training myself, I joined the indie community, and I found a lot of people that were willing to help me understand and help the comic book format. So the next issue was now finding an artist. And because none of us really draw. Some of us have some drawing skills, but no one's taking it to like the point where they will be willing to sit down and create a comic book with their ability. So
there was no Jack Kirby's on the team. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then we ended up realizing that one of our outside friends had a bit of an art talent, and his name is Dennis. He's our concept artist. And he started originally drawing out the characters for us. So I guess that was the real spark that we needed. Because once you start seeing the creation, it's kind of like, wow, this is possible. Like this is possibly going to happen. So once he was able to design the characters for us, I joined a few Facebook groups and was looking for an artist that can pretty much make like his artwork look a little more anime-like. And then that's when I found my first artist, and he helped us create issue 0 of The Elements. So that was back in like 2016 when the first book was released. And and we decided.
What was the process like then as a whole?
So the process that I had to learn was now I am sending a guy a script in detail of what I want drawn on the page. So it's my first time ever doing something like this. So like there was definitely a lot of back and forth going back. And, like I said, mine wasn't the first comic book project he's done. So he was definitely a guy that informed me, you should do it this way. You should make sure you add these here and, things like that. So that helped me out a lot. And, like I said, we were slowly funding this ourselves. So it was like 3 pages this week.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like we could pay for 3 pages this week, 2 pages next week. Like, we had to break it down like that.
It was on layaway.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was, man. So
comic book on layaway, folks. You hear this? This is the OG crowdfunding.
Exactly. So, once we started going through that and the book started taking life and everything, we started slowly. I started trying to build the Instagram following, social media followings.
Did you know how to do that?
No, not at all. I didn't know this.
So you had another learning curve.
Nope, I didn't know there was a science to this. Like I stayed up watching so many YouTube videos, and I just remember like putting my hand over my head. It was like, what the hell? Like, you just don't post and write and that's it. Like, there's a whole science behind it and everything. So I have to teach myself how to deal with social media, and it's exhausting. Like, it gets tiring
It
after a
is.
while,
Right? You get physically tired, yet you've been sitting all day. You're like, how the hell, right?
Exactly, like, it's unbelievable. So
Yeah, people don't understand me. They're like, yo, for real, like, I'm tired. Like, yo, but you've been like, no, you don't understand. Dealing with this and thinking burns a lot more calories than you believe.
yeah, I'm telling you, man. Sometimes I tell people it's just the word work that gets you
Yes.
exhausted. Once you say you're at work, you can sit at work and do absolutely nothing at work and get home and be like, wow, I'm exhausted. Like, but I didn't
Yeah.
do anything today. Like,
Yeah. It's one of those. One of those. So,
exactly.
as we get into the creation of the universe, talk about what's E4. What came first, the books or E4?
E4.
E4. So
E4.
what? So explain E4 and the birth of that. What made you go that route to build something, a platform of your own like that, to publish what you want?
So E4 Comics LLC was created, obviously for protection and everything. We have, our trademarks and,
Okay. So
you know,
creator owned, baby.
exactly, so we decided to do that. We chose E4 because obviously there's always been four of us in the group. And, we kind of like labeled it as, when you're trying to do something or accomplish something, it's like once you're able to find the four key things within that project you're trying to do and you follow those four key goals, you're always going to be successful. So that's
Okay.
pretty much how we developed the E4 comics. And, we decided to do that because the Elements wasn't the only project we wanted to create. We knew that down the line we was going to create more stories. So we wanted to have a banner where all those stories would be under. So that's when we decided, yeah, let's just create E4 comics and then we can branch it out to what exactly it is that we need, you know.
So
So
so talk about the universe that you're creating here within the E4 comics. I mean, does everything tie in? Is it one whole universe? Is it separate storytelling? What we got going on building at E4?
so when we originally came out with issue 0 back in 2016, it was we decided that we weren't going to start from the very beginning of the story because we wanted to have it filled with like a lot of action, so people can read it and be like, wow, this looks amazing, you know, what's going on. So by the time we do come out with issue 1, people can now go back to issue 1 to see who these boys are, where they came from, how they got their powers, and start following the story all the way until the issues get back to issue 0, where issue
Yeah.
0 started. So if issue 0 is no longer in, we don't, we're not selling it
Oh.
anymore or anything like that. Like, it had a lot of
So you
information.
don't have no more.
Yeah, I mean, I might have a couple
Hey,
around the house,
hey, the E4 Vault got something, but not for now.
So because it definitely revealed a lot of secrets or what's to come in the Element saga. So, and once we came out with the issue, we did our Kickstarter originally, so it was pretty much like selling your tape mix out of the trunk of your car. It was pretty much how we were selling the comics, in the
Oh wow.
streets, people we knew. And it took life. A lot of people were interested, telling friends and everything. So, we sold quite a bit of issue
Yeah.
0. And
Nice.
I guess my greatest regret right now is that we didn't follow through with that initial blow up, because we literally took a hiatus until, I guess, COVID hit 2019.
Oh
And
wow.
I guess a lot of people will tell you that a lot of their comic book journey started or exploded during COVID because it forced people to buckle down.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
finally get to it. Get it
exactly.
done.
There's nothing else for you to do. You couldn't go out. You couldn't do this. You couldn't do that. So, you know what? I've always wanted to work on this project. Let me start doing it now.
So well, you just staring at the computer like, okay, it's time. You and me.
Yeah. You know what it was? So for me, doing this when 2019, so I work for the fire department. I'm an EMT for the New York City.
Oh man, thank you for your service, kiddo.
Appreciate it. So 2019, obviously when COVID hit, was a very difficult time for EMS in the city. We were dealing with
Yeah,
a lot
definitely.
of emotions and a lot of death, a lot of sick and everything. So buckling down doing this comic was an actual getaway for me from all that.
The
You know,
madness of the real life.
exactly. So, and this is why I always tell people that, when I create this comic, I create it for people to get away from real life. You know,
Preach. Thank you. That's what comics should be. Escapism
exactly.
for a reason.
Like no genders, no nothing, just create,
No
read,
news. Give me
enjoy.
some fun shit.
So that's what sparked that, from going on from when we started. So when we decided to buckle down and start doing issue one, we got more into detail about the story and about the origin of the boys. So
Okay.
issue one, The Awakening, basically goes about the four boys were found as babies abandoned in the woods. They were taken in by sisters in an orphanage and was raised in this orphanage.
Okay.
And before the 18th birthday, they started hearing the caretakers talk about that, you know, they're thinking about getting the boys to pretty much leave the orphanage because the boys were always different growing up. They were stronger, faster, never got sick, never really got hurt growing up because they were just naturally stronger than normal people. And they didn't understand why they were built this way. So sometimes they kind of scared the other kids and everything of the orphanage. So they decided to one night that it was going to leave the orphanage, and within that night, when they left, that's when they encountered their four stones that gave them the power of definitely, man.
Yeah, big shout out to Thomas tuning
And once they encountered their four stones, that gave them the ability of fire, wind, water, electricity. So they decided to go back to the orphanage, and they were awakened the next morning by pretty much like aliens attacking the orphanage.
in. Oh
So
wow.
they defended the orphanage, and after they were able to defeat those aliens, they decided to go into the nearest town to see if those aliens were also there attacking their town, and which they were. So they started fighting these aliens, but then that's when they started to tap in to their new elemental powers, and they didn't understand where that was coming from. So
Okay.
then a new character gets introduced named Kenneth, which is the chibi shirt that I'm wearing here. um,
Hey, selling that swag. Wait. Show off the swag. What is that? You see that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, dope. Look at that.
Any of my
Hey,
Argentinian friends out there, they know what this is. The tea that he's drinking, yerba mate. So
hey.
he appears. He helps the brothers out, defeat the aliens, and then he disappears. And when the boys are making their way back to the orphanage, that's when they encounter him again in the woods, and that's where issue one pretty much ends. And
Okay.
then issue two, it gets into more details about the stones, where Kenneth is from, and Kenneth teaching the boys about their newfound powers. So
Okay.
yeah, so issue two is definitely like a lot of storytelling to answer a lot of questions from issue one. So
All right.
so then the boys are left with a decision that they're either gonna turn away from being like the new elemental warriors of old, or they can pick up that mantle and help Kenneth defeat these aliens that want to take these stones from the boys, to basically like destroy and create the universe that they see fit, that they
Ah,
feel
gotcha.
is worth being around, you
Gotcha.
know.
So basically, an alien race of a whole bunch of Thanos.
Exactly. So
Con-
what they tend to do is they tend to go from planet to planet, take special warriors from those planets. And then in my book, there's something called Planergy, which is an energy within each planet that connects its inhabitants to that planet. So
yeah.
those people within the planet, there's people on each planet that have like a specific ability that can really tap into that special Planergy that gives
Okay.
them special abilities. So what the Chronos is, which is the alien group that attacks, they go from planet to planet, take those special people that can tap into that planet G, bring them into their army force, suck that planet out of their planet G, and destroy it. And that's what they've literally been going
Gotcha.
around across the
Ooh.
galaxy doing. So Clenneth is, and the new books that I have now coming out on Kickstarter October 7th, one is called the Clenneth story.
You mean this one?
There you go.
All
I have two books coming from
right.
in this Kickstarter. One is the Clenneth story, which is about this
Nice.
character before he becomes this character. So this character
Oh,
is actually the character with the red hair and the tattoos on his
right there.
face. That's him.
Okay.
So this is his character after he sacrifices his physical body and becomes this. So there's a spirit under here. You could pretty much say it's a ghost under here, you know.
Awesome.
So the Clenneth story is to explain his story. So that series is going to go down a different path and is going to explain Clenneth's story before he became this and met up with the boys.
So, and what's the drop date again on this baby?
October 7th.
There you go, folks. Get reminded because it's coming up soon. Look, it says it right there. Notify me on launch. Make it easy on yourselves. Click that button right there. Boom. And
Yes.
get into this. This is some like Brooklyn anime.
There you go.
I'm from Brooklyn too. I'm in Greenpoint. As a
Oh,
matter of fact.
all right. I grew up on Ocean Avenue, Kirk.
Oh, where am I? I grew up on Morgan Avenue, right off the exit on the BQE, son.
Oh yeah, okay. See, a
Yeah, that's
Brooklyn
my
native.
hood.
There you go.
Yeah, yo. That's what I'm saying. So I'm digging it. I'm digging the energy. I'm digging what you're doing here. This is what it is. This is independent comic book creation at its best, dude. For real.
Yes.
So, how many stories we have in front of us? You say you got two more books. This another book, but how far in are we really? In the universe, deep.
So we are for the Elements, the official Element story. This will be issue 3. This is when the boys are going to meet their greatest challenge yet, a villain named Dices. He has the ability to pretty much like split matter, so he can cut through anything with his blade and his blade beams. That's his ability. So he's the first big villain that they're going to be going up against. And the whole Dices saga is going to be 3 separate books. So this Kickstarter, you will have the Dices saga part 1. So that will start off the battle against Dices. Then we're going to have 2 more issues after that. And also alongside that, you're having issue 1 of the Clenneth book, which go into his story and start going down its separate paths. So next will be issue 2 of the Clenneth story, and so on and so forth. The Clenneth story obviously will not be going as long as the Elements story. It's probably going to be about 3-4 issues long.
Hey, there goes Chris Saloff, yo. What up, kiddo?
Yeah, Chris is definitely one of my members from the SSB. So we're under E4 Comics, but we also created a group called the SSB. And
hey, SSB. There we go. SSB chilling with CC. What all these acronyms? It was popping these initials. This is a dangerous world. Don't mess around, kidna.
That's right.
I love it.
Yeah, we got a few cool things coming out on this Kickstarter. We got the chibi shirts. If you get anybody missed the first, few couple of Kickstarters that we had, this Kickstarter, you're gonna be able to catch up on anything that you missed. Issue 1, issue 2 is gonna be available. The chibi shirts, because we got chibi shirts for all 5 characters: Pyro, Hydro, Shock, and Sky, plus the Clenneth shirt. We're going to be introducing 2 new chibi shirts, one of Dices, the villain, and one of the new Clenneth, that you see in the picture. We also invented challenge coins, basically.
Challenge coins. What's popping with this? Coins. Get into crypto here. What's going on?
Hey, into that one day. I'm grateful, But basically, it's like a metal coin that has E4 Comics in the back, and it has a picture of each character in the front.
Oh, where?
Everything, yeah. So all that is
nice,
available in the Kickstarter. We also been working with a company to try and to do 3D posters. So each book is gonna have 3 separate
So,
covers. And each of these posters, you basically, I forgot the name of them, but basically, when you turn them, you see one image, you tilt it, you see another image.
yeah,
So it's gonna be 2 posters of one of all 3 covers of the Dices saga and all 3 covers of the Clemens story.
but
So those are gonna be available as well. So we got a few more things, and another thing that I do in all my Kickstarters is I like to support an organization called Comic Book for Kids.
oh,
CBO.
nice,
Yes.
nice.
So basically, people are gonna have an opportunity. If you choose a tier that you want, you can always add to an extra book to that tier that will go to this organization. And
Uh,
what they do, they basically give free comic books to sick kids in hospitals and everything.
yeah, yeah.
So it was very successful last Kickstarter. We managed to donate 90 books to them. So I
Oh,
was
it's
like,
beautiful.
yeah,
Oh, that's a beautiful thing. You see, folks, man, a creator doing good too. On top of that, there you go. See, good vibes. That's why you've had successful. I mean, how do you feel that you step into the Kickstarter world and you've had 2 successful Kickstarters and hopefully yet another one?
yes, definitely. I've been, like I said, I've been blessed with great people around me that help guide me, through this process from their own experiences. So I've already got into it with people telling me, do this, don't do that, don't do this. For example, Chris is one of my biggest help in that as well. Chris is also the letterer of my comics. So he's had his experiences with Kickstarter. And then my friend Jason, one of our other members, who pretty much helped bring the SSB together, was one of the first 2 people that I met getting into the indie community. And, they've been nothing but big help to me and teaching me the ropes and helping me understand how these platform works and everything. So I've lucked out.
Wonderful.
I'm hoping to do better and better every Kickstarter that I go on, get more followers, and that way that I know that I'm doing this and people are slowly gravitating to what I'm creating.
Oh, and you're doing something special, kiddo, especially a New York native. Salute, kiddo. Thank you for doing this, yo. For
Definitely.
real, I love and appreciate creators because you guys are bold enough to put your vision out there. You know what I mean? So I know there's always a lot of people always want to talk some smack, screw them because they just tell us they can't do this
Oh
themselves,
man,
otherwise they'd be doing it.
yo,
So
I'm telling you,
just
like it's
God bless,
definitely
yo.
like it's definitely like that. That's one of the biggest things. It's just like you need to find your spark. That's exactly what it
Yeah,
is. Like I said, my spark was when my concept artist created the first character. When like once you see that, is
nice,
for us, it was just like, wow, is this really happening? Like this is really gonna happen if we continue this route. This just might really happen. So there's no better feeling, when you're being tested with all these obstacles in front of you, and then you complete it, and then you can hold that project right in your hands, and it's just like, I really did this. Like we really accomplished this. There's no greater
nice,
feeling
man.
than that. It's one of the best feelings
I
in the
can't
world.
imagine. I can't imagine seeing your name printed, you're holding this. Look, fam, my name on this.
Yes,
And that in the letters column. I mean, look, as a creator.
exactly, man. So it was definitely a great experience. A lot of trials and tribulations and everything. Like even now,
I'm
this
sure
Kickstarter.
it's sacrifice, man.
Oh my goodness, man. Like even now with the Kickstarter, I'm still rushing to get things together. And it's like October 7th is right around the corner, so
Yes,
I've
it
been like
is.
nervous and everything. But like I said, I got a good team behind me. So I'm definitely
Excellent.
looking forward to this. Like I'm excited. I can't wait to hear people's opinions. And plus now I added a new member to my team, an editor. And
Ooh,
she woo, she is amazing and brutal.
excellent.
And that's what I love. Like,
You gotta find your Simon Cowell in the
there you
female.
go. Like she makes sure that you're on point. She will tell you straight up,
Wonderful,
you need to work on this. You need to fix this. Why are you doing this? Like, and everything. So
wonderful.
with everything that you're dealing with in real life and everything, and life issues that you got to deal with, it's always great to have someone looking over you to make sure that at least your project is not going to
Yeah.
suffer.
And they're absolutely real about it too. Like, all right, this is what you pay me for. No disrespect, but
Exactly. You need
thank you
that.
for berating me, but I appreciate it. Right? A masochist almost. Give me that verbal torture.
Exactly. Everybody needs that person because that person is going to be the one that's going to push you beyond your and only help you improve. So
absolutely. So lastly, before we go today, kiddo, what type of advice would you give to any other creator trying to step into the game today?
Make sure people you keep around positive people. You don't need negative people around you. You don't need people that's going to bring you down or tell you can't do something. Okay? Once you start doing it, continue to do it. Continue to push yourself to be better. Make sure you do your researches about things. Don't be afraid to reach out to other creators for some advice if you're doing anything, because I've had a ton of people reached out to me and asked me how to do this, how did I start, et cetera, and I have no problem telling people my journey, because there's a lot of failures in my journey, but that's what a journey entails. You have to fail to learn.
Yes.
And it's just like that.
And share the knowledge. That's
it. Don't let the failure discourage you. Learn from the failure and improve yourself. Last but not least, just have fun doing it. You got to make sure that you're enjoying doing this project. If you're not enjoying it, then something is wrong. So you definitely want to make sure that you don't lose that passion and continue doing what you're doing. And like
Thomas feels like he's in church. He goes, "Amen" to that.
There you go. There you go, Thomas. There's always going to be something out there challenging you. Just make sure you rise to that occasion, because when you reach that end, that prize is just so much more, delicious. Like
you're right,
overcame all that, and now you're here. So nothing's better than that. The more challenges, the better, I guess you can say.
Yeah, you know what? It's true, because it only shows your strength, your character, especially how you handle it, and that's it. And then with that, if you're gracious and you take on that challenge, more like a blessing, and then you get through it. It's done. You're good. That's life, I get it. And with that, folks, I need you to support amazing creators like this out of my hometown, Brooklyn, right here. All right, so right here on Facebook. I need you to go to E4, that's the letter E, the number 4 comics. All right, that's also on Instagram. Follow, show the love, support independent creators. And most importantly, check out this project. I need you to turn notifications on. All right, it's coming. Right. Book 3, then you're gonna be able to get everything else. You're gonna make it rain to my man over here, Jerry, baby. That's what you gotta do. Make it rain on independent comic creators like this that are doing some awesome American anime, manga, if you will, having some fun with it, building a universe for us to enjoy. Look at him. You know what I mean? His homies building a company. So, thanks for being such an amazing entrepreneur too, kiddo. That's what you are. So thanks for building something, bro. That takes courage. So salute to you, my brother. You know what I mean? And much success to you, and many blessings and more. So with that, you know what it is? Again, let me show one last time. I got to keep shouting on my homie. E4. I'm Master Flex. Let me do it again, right? E4 Comics, right? E4 Comics on Facebook and Instagram, all right? And again, check out the big homie Kickstarter, E4 Comics, The Elements Dices Saga Part 1, all right? Kickstarter. Don't worry, folks. If you don't understand what I'm telling you right now, you just look below. There's a whole bunch of links, and you just click away and follow along, all right? I made it easy for you. No excuses, okay? So show the love, all right? And with that, I'm Al Mega. Thank you for tuning in to another Comics podcast that also tells you what to do. Thank you, Jerry, for your time. Bless.
Thank you, brother.
All right? Hasta la próxima. All right, bro. Wepa! Later. Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.shop and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.